Man, sometimes it goes really, really fast. Sometimes it doesn't go fast at all. So I'll hit the record button because I'm going to remember today. How are you? It's Friday morning, I believe. Yes, the 14th. 14th of January. I'm trying to get this so that my face isn't as covered, but I don't like to do this. Today is the first day where I feel like I have enough material to get through the show and not worry. And if you've watched the show for any period of time, you know that I never get to all this stuff. I never run out of things to say. Never I never run out of topics to talk about. But lately, I've been having a difficult time on my podcast of getting to. I'd like to get to the 10-minute mark. Say, well, why is that? It's well, in theory, if I were ever to be monetized, then I could, have that going for me. But more importantly, I just feel like if you're going to sit down and commit to watching a video, like if it's not a short, right, not less than 1 minute, then, should there be some value there? Like if I'm eating dinner in front of the television, in front of YouTube, then I don't want to change the channel. I don't want to change the video in 10 minutes. I kind of want to, or in 7 minutes or 5 minutes. I want to commit to something, maybe 10 minutes now. I'm not going to get all my food done in 10 minutes, but it's still like, I feel like I need to give something. And as you probably know, I typically do the live stream and then work on whatever I'm going to do for the podcast. And lately, the podcast episodes there haven't been anything that really, jumps out at me as something that's, that I could just riff on for like a half hour. I don't know if that's because I've just talked for an hour, but like you go through these machinations when you're trying to pull this off. Okay. There's all kinds of things that are in your head that you're not sure how they're going to show up on camera. So, like, one of the questions that's come up in my head is how fast can you tell a story? Well, pretty darn fast. I think you can narrow down a story to less than 5 seconds. Let's just do one. Let's do realtor gets shot. Okay. Realtor shot. Dead. Sad. I don't even think that was 5 seconds. And then it's like, okay, well, you can't do it in, you shouldn't be doing it in 5 seconds. How long can you make it? Well, you don't want to make it torturous, right? You don't want to make it so that no one's watching at the end. You could go on for, maybe you could go for an hour for a topic like that. Attention span wise, I'm probably in the middle. Well, I how do I say it? I just feel like I have different times when, I can talk for a long time and other times when I don't want to talk for a long time. And I don't think that's any different than anyone else. I do have an amazing amount of respect for what I used to call sports talk radio or even sports in general. I cannot talk about any topic like it seems like let's just say there's a football game, okay? So there's a story about the football game itself, okay? But before the football game, you can have a preview of the football game. Okay, so that's just talking about the players that are going to play. And then after the game, you can talk about injuries, okay? And then you can talk about other teams in the division that are close to where do they stand in the division? That can be a whole thing to talk about. And you just go on, and it's somewhat compelling. But in my real estate news, there's no story that's like on a daily basis. There's no story that meshes with another story. I mean, we will have a story today that kind of does in a weird way, but it's not typical. Are there overarching, ideas in my podcast? No, I don't think so. But in the live stream, yes. For instance, inflation. I'm scared to death about inflation. I think it's just the worst thing you can do to a population, especially when in theory these people are in control. Like these experts are in control of the Fed and they could do something about inflation. Oh my gosh, I got a little gnat. Or in a different sense, perhaps they've caused inflation. They could be responsible for it. So inflation is something that I'm scared about. I'll always be scared about it all of my life. And that's just the way it is. Buyer love letters is something that is a constant theme of my show. I think it's a stupid idea to actually put in a law to ban buyer love letters. I think it's just absolutely stupid, and it shows how far gone we are that we have to write a law that says real estate agents can't write love letters. Now, if you're not a real estate agent, can you write a love letter? Yes. Does that make any sense? Does that make any? No, it doesn't. And there's a lot of things that's the other thing that is overarching to me is the absurdity of what seems to be everything. I mean, name an institution that you trust now. Is it business? Is it government? Is it a country? Is there any? I mean, where is the trust? Is it, the press? Is there someone in the press, the corporate media that you trust? No. And I mean, even on a local level, do you trust anyone in your government on a local level? To do what? I don't know if that's always been the case. I just know that's the way it is for me at this time. I have no trust in anything. I'm not surprised when weird things happen. But it does kind of tie into real estate a little bit. I know when I do a deal, it's like the wild, wild west. I have no idea what the other agent is thinking. I have no idea how many other, weird things are going to happen during the deal. It's just, you just do it. Hopefully it'll work out. I feel like on the listing side right now, you have more control over the deal. Because if a buyer gets out of line, you just say, all right, we're done. Put it on the market again. Now, if I don't like to do that, and let's maybe spend a moment on that. I really do like to do my own personal desire is to be able to do a deal with someone and it works out for everybody. Like they call it a win-win, but in real estate, it's not really a win-win because someone's selling a house and you're buying it. But what I like to do is a normal deal, essentially. The other agent's responsive. The other agent gets their paperwork in order. We are responsive. We get our paperwork in order. If there's some problem with the house, it's like significant enough that we need to address it, and it's addressed. Those types of things. And in a 30-day deal, like a sewer, if the sewer lateral's cracked or crushed, it's not going to get done. The job is not going to get done in 30 days. Because first of all, it's taken 10, 20 days to just negotiate the issue in the first place. So, I don't know. I have been watching the YouTube a little bit as far as what's wrong. Like, how am I getting views on my live stream later in the day, but never anybody in my chat? And not like a complaint, but how do you can't respond? I can't respond to people in chat that aren't there. And then when on the odd chance that someone does show up in chat, by the time they've put their comment in, I'm 6 subjects away from what we were talking about. It's really bad. So I don't know. I watch Nick Rekieta. Okay. and it's Recato law splaining the interwebs. Hilarious. But he never seems to run out of topics, and I don't know if he just makes stuff up or he doesn't seem to be worried about it. Like, I'm worried about it now. I have not eight. I have up to I in topics. Okay. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. If I spend 10 minutes on each topic, it's 90 minutes. And then I have 3 other things. I have the real estate for the house. I mean, I have the real estate listings for luxury homes. And then I have 2 Google Trend articles. So I have like enough for a 2-hour show. My fear is, like, if I went and did a live stream at night, after I did one during the day, is it just going to be me talking? Like, I'd like to interact with people in chat. And I've always, when I first started this channel, I would implore people, like, send me articles. Let's talk about things. Like, you drive it. You drive the show. Put something in chat that you want to talk about, and we'll talk about it. And there's been no participation whatsoever. So I don't know if that means that no one's interested, or no one, people are shy. I'm painfully shy. I don't think I've put in, I don't think I've had, like, I don't think I've put in something on chat in a long time. So, I mean, I almost feel like I can relate to that. I don't know. I mean, since we have so much stuff, do you just want to get started today? I guess that's what we'll do. All right. Now we'll do Google Trends, because I think that's helpful. So here we go. It says, you know anything about student loans? I see stuff on Twitter sometimes. Somebody say that student lenders are predatory, but let me try and frame this in a way that I would be comfortable. There has long been an argument that college is too expensive. There's an argument that the degrees that the colleges are often offering are not relevant to actually paying off your loan. And then there's this idea that student loan lending is predatory. Okay. I don't know if any of that's true. I don't know. I have 2 master's degrees. And I mean, I'm a real estate agent. So I just don't know. I just don't have a good answer for that. But I wanted to go over this. I wanted to kind of, how do I explain it? Is it where there's smoke, there's fire? Is that it? I don't know. I don't think that, I mean, we heard lots of talk about student loans in the election for president. We've heard about it in the past during primaries. It seems to be a topic that people get behind. My own thought is that there used to be a narrative that said you go to college, you get the wrong degree, and then you can't ever pay it off. And so we have no sympathy for you because you took out a loan to get a degree in something that didn't pay. In 2022, my opinion of that is this. I'm not. There's this idea that called the infantilization of adults. In theory, making adults children. So we have what? We have the age of consent in the United States. We have the age where you can drink alcohol, the age where you can go be drafted. And some have said that, that's not those ages aren't decent enough. Children should be able to make their own decisions at, say, like 7 or 12. My own thought, and this could be also wrong, is that biology says that, the male brain doesn't develop until like 28, 27. Now, does that mean you should treat someone like a kid when they're 28 or 27? No. And is it possible that you can give rights to someone that's 18 years old or 17 years old in some spaces, but not others? So maybe they have a right to do this, but in this other case, how can they possibly make that sort of decision? Yeah, I'm of the opinion right at this moment, based on my experience, that you take someone and you put them through school, okay, into the age of 17, and then you say, okay, now you need to go to college, and you need to pick what you're going to do for the rest of your life, okay, and then to do that, your parents are going to. That's the other thing. Your parents and you will be on the hook for whatever debt you accrue, okay. So let's just say someone goes to school to be a typewriter repair person, okay, 20 years ago. And now they've got debt for typewriter repair, but no one has a typewriter. You say, well, that's their fault. They should have known. What about the kid that goes to school and, gets 2 years in and says, I don't really want to do this anymore. This doesn't seem like the path for me. I know one time when I was in my 20s, I was in Detroit, Michigan. I was working on the R.J. Hurt building at the Eastern Market. We were tuck pointing or working on some brick or something on the third floor, and we had a lift to, like a lift, and then we had there was electric power, and it was also windy, and so I'm up on this lift by myself working, and the thing is swaying in the wind, and I'm getting close to the electric lines, and right then and there I said, I'm not doing this anymore. This is stupid. I don't like this. I'm not afraid of heights, but I don't like this swaying, and I don't like this. I'm very high up in the air, and I don't like the swaying, and I don't like the being next to the electricity. Just don't want to do it anymore. I quit. I'm not doing this. Okay. That's just the way. That was just one of those times where I was like, this is obvious. In education, like, say you're going to school. All of a sudden, 2 years in, you're like, I don't like. Say you want to be a doctor, and you go to, you start your undergrad, and all of a sudden, it's like, I don't really want to be a doctor. Turns out that's not what I want to be. All right. Well, now, is there something you can do with your degree, or can you change it and not get dinged for it? I don't know. But it just seems wrong that you're gonna strap parents and children, or you're gonna indenture children for a loan because of the results of their parents at age 18. It doesn't seem right. And so if the situation seems wrong as it is, then doesn't it somehow make sense that there could be crime and maybe a dark side, if you will, to this American, quote unquote, American dream? I mean, it seems possible. So I wanted to go over this. This came up. There were 200,000 searches on Google about this. It says Attorney General Josh Shapiro announces a $1.85 billion landmark settlement with student loan servicer Navient. Okay. So is there such thing as predatory lending? I don't know. But it says the settlement includes $1.7 billion in debt cancellation, $95 million in restitution, and Pennsylvania borrowers will receive $70 million in relief. It says Attorney General announced today that Navient, which I don't know anything about, known as one of the nation's largest student loan servicers, will provide relief totaling $1.85 billion to resolve allegations. So again, we don't know. of widespread unfair, deceptive, and abusive loan servicing practices and abuses in the origination of predatory student loans. Now, this is a company we should all be proud of, right? Because they're big. Like, so let's just go over life, right? So if I'm a real estate investor and I have a strip mall and Navient wants to be in my strip mall, or some guy from Deerwood Realty wants to be in my strip mall, who am I picking? Well, I'm picking Navient because they're a multi-faceted financial powerhouse. Not some guy that may or may not make it. Is that fair? No. Is that life? Yes. And so we continue. It says Navient repeatedly and deliberately put profits ahead of its borrowers. It engaged in deceptive and abusive practices, targeted students who knew it would struggle to pay the loans back, and placed an unfair burden on people trying to improve their lives through education. Okay, so repeatedly and deliberately put profits ahead of its borrowers. What finance company wouldn't do that? I'm not trying to be a jerk, but do you think that there's any institution out there that isn't out there for profits in some way? And you say, well, yeah, no, definitely. Not-for-profit companies aren't for profit, right? So they're not trying to get a profit. You know, I used to think similar to that, but if you look at the people that run this show, okay, they're making six figures. Okay? Is that profit in the traditional sense? No. But if you could find a cause that you could get six figures for promoting the cause, I mean, we're talking anything, don't get me wrong, in health, in society, okay? Maybe a not-for-profit is actually for the profit of the people that are running it. So, to me, there's a big difference between what would be a tax declaration or tax, what's the word I'm looking for? Tax classification and facts. Okay. So it says today's settlement corrects Navient's past behavior, provides much needed relief to Pennsylvania borrowers, and puts in place safeguards to ensure this company never preys on student loan borrowers again. Now, do you believe that? This settlement, joined by a coalition of 39 attorneys general, resolved claim that since 2009, we're in 2022, despite representing that it would help borrowers find the best repayment options for them, Navient steered struggling student loan borrowers into costly long-term forbearances instead of counseling them about the benefits of more affordable income-driven repayment plans. So what they're saying is there's these students and they were underwater, and they called their loan servicer Navient and they said, God, help me, please help me. And Navient said, oh, well, we can do this, which isn't going to lead to a lot of profit, or we can do this, which will lead to a lot of profit. So we're going to do that. According to the attorneys general, the interest that accrued because of Navient's forbearance steering practices was added to borrowers' loan balances, pushing borrowers further in debt. So here you got somebody calling, like, and the boot is on their neck, okay? And these people just stepped harder. And by the way, you know, this is going to solve the problem, right? The $1 billion in loan forbearance. Some poor person in 2009 is being choked to death, their life ruined. It's 2022, and oh, you know what? We'll fix the problem now. It's like, had the company instead provided borrowers with the help it promised, income-driven repayment plans could have potentially reduced payments to as low as $0 per month, provided interest subsidies, and or helped attain forgiveness of any remaining balance after 20 to 25 years of qualifying payments, or 10 years for borrowers qualified under the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. I mean, for that alone, but the company's still in business, and I guarantee you that the CEO makes at least six figures. And you say, well, John, why do you care about six figures? Well, that's the mark, right? Maybe it's seven figures now. He'll probably get a bonus. He or she, whoever's running the company, will probably get a bonus next year for more than six figures. It's just madness. Navient also allegedly originated allegedly, but they've settled, so we don't know. Allegedly originated predatory subprime loans to students attending for-profit schools and colleges with low graduation rates, even though it knew that a very high percentage of such borrowers would be unable to repay the loans. This is called loan sharking when it's done by the mob, but you know, it's okay if it's the government, or it's okay if it's a corporation. Navient allegedly made these risky subprime loans as an inducement to get schools to use Navient as a preferred lender for highly profitable federal and private loans without regard for borrowers and their families, many of whom were unknowingly ensnared in debts they could never repay. Our investigation uncovered two deceptive and unfair schemes Navient was using that broke the law and put their own profits ahead of the people they served. The first scheme involved Navient issuing subprime private loans to borrowers they knew could not pay the money back. The second scheme we uncovered was Navient's drive to mislead borrowers into forbearances, which stopped them from paying down the principal on their loan and led many to accumulate more debt and never-ending interest payments. Okay, so this is terrible. This company should go away. And you say, well, what if they go away? What will happen to the employees? They will find other jobs. You say, well, they may not. And say, well, somebody should have stood up and said this is a bad thing. Now, maybe it's not true. Maybe it says allegations and they're settling it. Maybe they didn't. Maybe it's not true. I don't know. All I'm saying is this is terrible, what I'm reading. Now, if it's not true, it's terrible for the people that wrote it to trick me. Under the terms of the settlement, Navient will cancel the remaining balance on nearly $1.7 billion in subprime loans owed by nearly 66,000 borrowers nationwide. In addition, a total of $95 million in restitution payments of about $260 each will be distributed to 350,000 federal loan borrowers who were placed in certain types of long-term forbearances. So, hey, you're in debt, but we're going to give you about $260. Thanks. Borrowers who will receive restitution or debt cancellation span all generations. Navient's harmful conduct impacted everyone from students who enrolled in colleges and universities immediately after high school to mid-career students who dropped out after enrolling for for-profit school in the early mid-2000s. So, remember that whole thing in West Virginia where they closed the coal mines? And they told those people, hey, you can we'll just, it sucks, but we'll get you job training and you'll go find your new job. Those people might have gotten socked by this. Totally cool, right? Approximately 13,000 Pennsylvania borrowers will receive $3.5 million in restitution payments. Another 2,467 Pennsylvanians will receive $60 million in debt cancellation. In total, the Attorney General Superior's lawsuits and settlements have resulted in more than $132.5 million in private student loan cancellations since 2017. Settlement includes conduct reforms that require Navient to explain the benefits of income-driven repayment plans and to offer to estimate income-driven payment amounts before placing borrowers into optional forbearances. Additionally, Navient must train specialists who will advise distressed borrowers concerning alternative repayment options and counsel public service workers concerning public student loan forgiveness and related programs. The conduct reforms imposed by the settlement include prohibitions on compensating customer service agents in a manner that incentivizes them to minimize time spent counseling borrowers. This is just really bad. The settlement also requires Navient to notify borrowers about the U.S. Department of Education's recently announced limited waiver opportunity, which temporarily offers millions of qualifying public service workers the chance to have previously non-qualifying repayment periods counted towards loan forgiveness, provided that they consolidate into the direct loan program and file employment certifications by October 31st, 2022. The Attorney General encourages all Pennsylvania, whatever. As a result of today's settlements, borrowers receiving private loan debt cancellation will receive a notice, along with funds of any repayments made on the canceled private loans after June 30th, 2021. Private loan borrowers do not need to take any action to qualify for relief. Federal loan borrowers who are eligible for restitution payment of approximately $260 will receive a postcard from the settlement administrator later this spring. Well, that's nice. How about save the money on postage and just give me $270? Until recently, Navient had a contract to service federal student loans owned by the U.S. Department of Education. On October 20th, the U.S. Department of Education announced to transfer this contract from Navient to AidVantage, a division of Maximus Federal Services. However, Navient will continue to service federal loans made under the FFEL program that are owned by private lenders, as well as non-federal private student loans. Attorney General Shapiro sued Navient in 2017. Over the course of 4 years of litigation, Shapiro's office defeated a motion to dismiss and obtained important court rulings regarding the Privacy Act, the Higher Education Act, and the Consumer Financial Protection Act. In July 2020, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Third Circuit affirmed the rulings of the lower court, allowing Attorney General's lawsuit against Navient to move forward. Attorney General filed the settlement as a pros consent judgment today. I don't understand. Like, why can't we just get after them? Like, why don't you just go ahead and go to court and really, really see what you can do? Are you concerned? I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I mean, these people have been harmed and you're going to give them $260. I mean, really? Yay. Okay, so Navient seems like a terrible company. Oh, let me just, on the student loan thing, the 17-year-old is getting ready to go to college, where all of these problems that I've talked about have come to the forefront. But one of the most bizarre things that has changed since when I went to school, you would get grants and you could get loans. I mean, that was fine. But what they do now is they give everyone a scholarship. Say, what do you mean? Well, what happens is when you get accepted, they say, you got a scholarship, congratulations. You got a scholarship, and they call it something like the King's Scholarship or the Smug Scholarship. And basically what it is, it says, hey, you get $10,000 you get $10,000 because you're such a wonderful person. And what they don't say is that they basically just raised the prices of their institution $10,000, gave you nothing, basically, and acted like it's a big deal. Let me do the math on this. So it used to cost $30,000 to go to school. Now it costs $40,000 to school, but they give you $10,000 as a scholarship. It still costs $30,000. They didn't do anything. So then the game got to be, well, we'll just give more and more. So you can get like I think Xavier gave my child like $60,000. Okay. I think maybe it was 40, but it was $80,000 to go there. So it's like, this stuff is just ridiculous. And they're doing it because, what kid can go to school without a scholarship, right? Like everyone, it's like a participation trophy. I'm going to check my chat. No one's in the chat. Okay, moving on. Now, I picked this story not because of the politics. It had 50,000 searches, okay? And while it is a political story, I picked it because it had to do with real estate, okay? So just like, I'm trying to be fair here. Marilyn Mosby, I don't know who she is, and that's what came up in Google. Indicted for perjury, false mortgage applications. There's the real estate portion. Baltimore City State's attorney, Marilyn Mosby, now she's an attorney, so she knows the law, was indicted Thursday by a federal grand jury on 2 counts of perjury and 2 counts of making false statements on mortgage applications. This says indicted. I don't know what that means. I thought, I'm not a lawyer, I thought that means they have enough evidence to move forward. Okay? That's what I thought. I thought that some group the grand jury declared there was enough evidence to move forward. That's what I thought. I'm not a lawyer, and so if I'm wrong and lawyers are watching the stream, please correct me. Even in the comments, like later on, because you're watching later. So it says, Federal investigators allege Mosby, 41, used money from the COVID-related loans to purchase 2 vacation homes in Florida. You mean that's hard to believe that someone would take money for COVID, which is terrible, and like use it to swindle people? No. They say the Democrat falsely claimed under penalty of perjury that she experienced adverse financial consequences from the pandemic in order to withdraw money from her city retirement account under relaxed restrictions. Hey, under COVID, how many city, county, or government employees across the United States lost one paycheck due to the virus and the shutdown? Under those plans, which are exclusive to state and local employees, usually it says they can't be touched until an employee leaves their job. The 2020 CARES Act allows Baltimore City employees to make withdrawals from this type of requirement account in the pandemic if the pandemic affected their income. Well, maybe she got laid off for the virus. According to charging documents, Mosby requested a one-time withdrawal of $40,000 from her city retirement account, and then this is where it gets a little dicey, falsely certifying under penalty of perjury that she had experienced financial hardship as a result of being quarantined, furloughed, or laid off, having reduced work hours, or being unable to work due to lack of childcare, or the closing of reduction of hours of a business I own or operate. It says, in fact, her 2020 salary was nearly $248,000 and was unaffected by the pandemic. Rather than experience a reduction in income, Mosby's gross salary in 2020 increased over her gross salary in 2019, which was only $238,000. Mosby received $36,000 in withdrawal money and put it towards down payment for a vacation home in Kissimmee, Florida. The indictment alleges that she lied in order to lower the mortgage's interest rate. She purportedly told lenders it would serve as a second home, but a week earlier had signed an agreement with a vacation home management company to list the property for short-term rentals. This is a fascinating thing. So let's assume that she did it, okay? She's a lawyer. Shouldn't she have read the documents? And shouldn't she have known how to, not get arrested or caught? It seems like a week earlier signing an agreement with a vacation home rental management company would be that wouldn't be where you wanted to be criminal. Mosby also allegedly lied to mortgage lenders about tax liabilities. The IRS filed a $45,000 lien against her in March 2020 for unpaid back taxes. But she did not disclose that in the September 2020 application that she showed significant amounts of federal taxes, nor that she was delinquent. Now, I'm not in a world, okay? My own life isn't in a world where I make $238,000 a year and I didn't pay my taxes to the point where they filed a lien. I'm not in that world. Not in that world. So I don't understand. She purchased the Kissimmee home for a total of $545,000 in September. It served as a rental property until she sold it in 2021 for a $150,000 profit. Hey. In December 2020, she requested a one-time withdrawal of $50,000 from her city retirement, again, citing the relaxed CARES Act withdrawal restrictions. She received $45,000 and put it towards a second vacation home, a condominium in Longboat Key, Florida. In her mortgage application, Mosby again failed to disclose to lenders that she was delinquent in federal taxes. She purchased the condo for $466,000 in 2021. Now, I tell my buyers, we go sit at the closing table and you sign an affidavit. Now, this is for my buyers. You sign an affidavit with the lender that says that everything you wrote is true. It's a sworn declaration. This happens every single deal. Why do they have that? So they can come at you and sue the hell out of you if you miss your payments. Now, I don't know that any payments were missed. A count of perjury holds a maximum of 5 years in 5 years in person. I think they meant prison. A count of making false statement on a loan application holds a maximum of 30 years in prison. I mean, seriously, a false statement on a loan application is to 30 years in prison. A count of perjury is only 5 years in prison. I cannot imagine. What kind of world do we live in where it's a 30-year prison sentence for making a false statement on a loan application? I mean, there are people that do much worse things that don't have a maximum of 30 years in prison. Anyway, whatever. Mosby and her attorney did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Bolden told the Baltimore Sun that federal prosecutors have a personal grudge against Mosby. I think that most grudges are personal. We will fight these charges vigorously, and I remain confident that once all the evidence is presented, she will prevail against these bogus charges that are rooted in personal, political, and racial animus 5 months from her election. I think that's the future election, not the previous election. Now, what is the defense attorney supposed to say? And that's the problem that I have with all crime reporting is you have this story, rush to guilt, the court of public opinion has already been swayed, and now this person can't get a fair trial. And you say, well, John, they look like they sure are guilty. Well, that's the perception based on what we see. That may not be a fact at the end. I mean, that's just me. I hate to say it because it sounds like such a sucker, but we should give the benefit of the doubt. I'm only talking about it because I think it's interesting. She chose to do this, to get mortgages for more real estate. I just think that's fascinating. She and her husband, City Council President Nick Mosby, have been under federal investigation since at least February of 2021, when the FBI issued subpoenas tied to her financial records. The probe began after city investigation into her travel by Inspector General Isabel Mercedes Cumming. Mosby requested the investigation herself after she was criticized for failing to clear travel paid for by third parties, such as nonprofits with Baltimore's spending board. The OIG report faulted her, but city solicitors said in a legal opinion that the city's policy on third-party travel funding was unclear. I think that's true. Probably true in a lot. This is something I've noticed more in the last 5 to 7 years than before, is like politicians take trips that are paid for by other people all the time. And whether or not they knowingly do it or not, I don't know. But there should probably be some cleanup of those rules. The Mosby's allies have since slammed the OIG and federal probes into the couple. And here's not look. There's a serious question here. It says Mosby was elected as Baltimore's top prosecutor in 2014. She charged police officers for the 2015 death of Freddie Gray, which expanded her national profile as a self-described progressive prosecutor. Those charges were dropped in 2016. Okay. The Democrat was reelected to a second term in 2018. She's up for re-election this cycle. So, if you have a known criminal in office and you vote for them anyway, is that on you as a city or governor, or a city or county or state? That's kind of where I'm at. Is like the ballot box is supposed to be the most powerful deterrent against bad, and somehow that isn't true. Like, philosophically, it doesn't seem true. It seems like people still vote for people that are possible or probable criminals. It doesn't seem to factor into their decision. Let me say the majority decision. Okay. So that was fun. I mean, again, an attorney shouldn't make that many sloppy errors if she really did. Next one here. I mean, could you argue? And I'm not. Could you argue? I have no idea what this CARES Act allows, and so can you just I'm sorry, I didn't know, I made a mistake. I thought it was a great opportunity for me to make more money. Yeah. Baltimore, Maryland. Now this is just a coincidence. Baltimore, Maryland was our city to look at for ultra luxury real estate today. Let's look at this first one here. 4.2 million, 5 bedrooms, 12,000 square feet on a 1.45 acre lot. I love. By the way, there was no unified. There was no unified brokerage, in my opinion. That everyone sort of had their own one of the high end listings, so nobody really cornered the market. Let's look at the property history. I like to see that first. Listed 4.9 million in 2021. Listed for rent. Price changed. So you can rent it for $30,000 a year, I guess, or is that a month? I don't know. Here's 50 pictures, 225 days on the market. I like the front picture. That's the way I would do it. Now I'm in the backyard again. Now I'm in the front yard with the door open, and there's a transom. Is that called? I don't remember. Now we're going in. Picture of a dog. This here, okay. Now we talk about this. When you first walk in, this is not open and airy, and there's not staircases, and it's not grand. But it's okay to know that. I wouldn't put this table here. I might trip on it when I came home. See? House is built in 1914. I mean, it's not new. Oh, it's a nice kitchen. I do like the kitchen a lot. It's got Wolf appliances. I don't know what this is, but the fact that they're all white tiles is just pretty cool. I don't know if they're tiles or sheets or what they are, but I mean, do you have neighbors? But I'm okay with that. Let's see what the reading is. The description. Oh, good Lord. I'm not reading all that. Let's just start with the first sentence. Entering the stately classical revival home, one can almost hear the clink of the wine glasses, feel the warmth of the fires burning in the hearth, and hear the laughter of the guests as one of the many parties given in this house. John Russell Pope, one of the leading architects in the first half of the 20th century, was commissioned by James Swan Frick to design Charcot House. Pope also designed such landmarks as the Jefferson Memorial, Metropolitan Museum of Art, and the Baltimore Museum of Art. Frick bought 6 parcels of land in the newly created Gullford community, shaped in a shield form and completely surrounded by an ivy-covered brick wall with wrought iron details. It's a nice house. Is it 4.25 million? I don't know. Let's look at this house. Different zip code. 2121-2. And this is 2121-8. Where I live is 63123. 7 bedrooms, 6.5 baths, 7,895 square feet, but on a 5-acre lot. So smaller, but bigger lot. When was the house built? 1900. 4-car garage. Property history. Ugh. It's been listed since 2009. Let's see what they started for in 2009. 6.3. And what are we at now? 3.9? That's a haircut. Everybody makes money in real estate. It's got 100 pictures. Is it a nice house? Yes. If you're a real estate agent and you go in there and you say, hey, and like the seller says, hey, I'd like you to sell my house. You say, how much is it going to go for? It's a beautiful kitchen. And the guy says, it's going to go for 6.3 million. Okay. All right. And today we're at 3.995 million. Like, do you fire the guy or girl? That's ridiculous. It's a nice house, but I don't like 100 pictures. I'm not doing it. Okay, so I think this is a better comparison. 8 bedrooms, 8.5 baths, 12,000 square feet on a 1.58 acre lot. I think this is a good comparison with this home. It's not in the same zip code though, so the area does matter. 280 days on the market, and I would prefer always a picture of the front to start. $2020 listed. It's only been on the market for 2 years. So this is the front of the house, I'm assuming. We just somehow managed to teleport it through the door. So now I don't know what we're doing. What is this? What is this? That's nice. But why is there a ping pong table there? Make any sense? We're 46 pictures in. We finally get a picture of the pool in a regular color, in a regular, not a framed photo like this. I don't know. What do you think? Between these two houses, this one and this one, which one? And you say, well, I don't have 4.25, but I have 3.48. Well, so what? I kind of like this house more. Kind of like it is more. It is more expensive. This one just came out 3 hours ago. It says Baltimore. It's in 12112. 41 pictures. 4 hours on the marketplace. Not bad. Not much, Oh boy. We're at 1.9 million. In 2012, it got down to 699,000. Now it's at 3.25 million. Has it been sold? I don't know. I don't have the tax records to show ownership, but it's showing that it was listed in 2009. Good Lord. What happened? We just got into the house again? Okay, so there's the front. Second picture. What's the first picture? It's the front. I like this. You're doing good. 41 pictures. Now, see, now I'm inside, and I guess there's a wall right here, so it's not a grand, grand entrance. I'm guessing. Nice kitchen. Kind of a cool shower. Hmm. I mean, that looks nice. I like that. Looks homey. There's a Porsche. That's a nice theater room. I like how it goes down. It's kind of dangerous, but whatever. Oh, I'm sorry. That's a Mercedes. I apologize. Kind of an interesting space. It's outside. No pool. You could put a pool, looks like, back there, though. I don't know what the weather's like there. I don't know. Got a basketball hoop. Huh. Okay. All right. I've had enough of listings. How about you? Chat says nothing. Okay. Let's knock this article out. Okay. I think that's where we'll end it. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow yet. It's 10 o'clock on a Friday. Could be very busy for me. Could be nothing. I don't know. There's supposed to be a snowstorm on Saturday. And I think that's kind of keeping people from looking. Down payment. This is from Realtor Magazine. Down payment misperceptions persist. Well, what do you mean? It says the majority of home buyers finance their home purchase, but some aspiring buyers may delay their purchase due to persistent myths over down payment requirements. Okay. So, like when someone calls me, say, John, I'd like to go buy a new house. Okay. Do you have a pre-approval? No. Have you talked to a lender? No. Well, let's go talk to a lender first and see what we can afford, and then we can go looking at houses. Well, why do I do that? Well, I don't know their financial history. I don't know if they can buy a house. I mean, if they can, that's great. But if they can't, but that's when the down payment comes. I don't know many people that sit there and say, I need to save for 20% down before I go see my mortgage broker or real estate agent. But this is what I see. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's not, it doesn't mean that they're not true. 35% of consumers believe they need a down payment of 16 to 20% of the purchase price. 10% they need more than 20% for a down payment to purchase a home, according to the National Association of Realtors survey data. With home prices rising double digits over the past year alone, that could make saving for a down payment an even tougher hurdle to jump. And let's just couch this in home affordability. That's where I would couch it. Home affordability. If we can get in the house with less of a down payment, we can get into the house. Now, it may be expensive because you're not putting 20% down, but it's better than not being able to buy a house at all if you need a house. However, the typical down payment is much lower. First-time home buyers, the average down payment over the last 3 years has ranged between 6 and 7%. I typically see 95 to 97%, and I've got 100%, I think, coming up on one. For repeat buyers, the typical down payment was 17%. Now, people can put down as much as they want. Don't get me wrong. I'm fine with that. I'm just saying that the perception of needing 20%, keeping people from buying houses, probably isn't a good thing, in agreement with this article. It says buyers have several loan options. For example, about 23% of first-time home buyers, or for example, among about 23% of first-time home buyers, the Federal Home Administration loan remains popular. FHA loans allow borrowers to put down as little as 3.5% on the purchase of a home. I I would say stop with the worrying about the down payment of 20%. I think that's fair. It's not true. Well, I mean, it's not true in the sense that you don't need 20% down if you have good credit. I'm going to save the next article until tomorrow because it's a heavy one and it might take some time to discuss. And I think I'm going to cut the live stream now. But I know you guys watch the live stream afterwards. And I find it to be very fascinating. I'm trying to get my camera where I need it to be. Okay. And all I can say is thank you. I appreciate it. I really do. I get that you might want to work and you might want to kick back later on and look at real estate related stuff. I get that. And that's okay. That's okay. I hope that I don't believe in like sensationalism, okay? Like I was showing you yesterday with the asteroids. You know, I don't need sensationalism. I just need to know like what's going on, or I'd like to know. So that puts me at a disadvantage on YouTube. I mean, if I could deal with race, sex, age, politics every day, I think I would do better. But I don't want to go down that path unless, I mean, like on the race path, if it's related to home ownership, then I think that's something that's reasonable to discuss. But it has to be based on, you know, the subject. You know, it has to be based on real estate. It can't be just, you know, I'm going to throw bombs into that pool. It's just not something that I like. So, you know, I appreciate you guys watching afterwards. I hope that someday, like, I don't know, put something in the comments that says like, hey, do a stream at this time and I'll show up, because I will. We don't have that many people. It's not like it's real hard for us to all get together at a certain time and stream. That's my thought. Down a little bit in YouTube today again. I don't know why. My impression's not good. But anyway, I just wanted to say thanks. I've enjoyed this. I'm going to continue to enjoy it. It's going to be fun. I mean, it is fun. I'm thankful. I'm surprised. I didn't think that would ever happen. So thank you for watching, and I will